Y'all, where everybody at? I was like waiting for y'all to come in the chat. I don't see nobody here, but shout out to Danielle Turner because she renewed her membership. And you know we love everybody who support the channel. But let's go ahead and play that intro. But first, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're going to get into a few things. So y'all ready? Here we go. Oh man, I forgot to do a thumbnail for this. But what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Talk the Real Deal with AT2. And yes, I'm your boy AT2. How everybody doing? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? Oh, the background is kind of washed out. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Okay, I actually like it better with one light, huh? This is better right here, y'all. Right? Let me know in the chat if you hear. Okay, yeah, I like this light better. Yeah, definitely. Good morning, Barbara. Hello, Beauty for Ashes. What's up, what's up, what's up, everybody? Okay, now y'all coming into the room. Okay, perfect. Well, I have a lineup for you guys. First, we're going to talk about Don Lemon possibly outing Tyler Perry, but more or less he was trying to give him advice. And then we're going to talk about the Derek Dixon interview. Now, this came out yesterday, and we didn't talk about it, so hell, let's talk about it today. What's up, Beauty for Ashes? What's up, Cheryl? I see y'all. All right, let me go ahead and pull it up here. And of course, I don't have nothing ready for y'all, but hey, it's my show. Of course, I ain't got nothing ready, right? We a one-man show over here. We ain't got a team of people, so we got to do what we got to do. Also, while we on the subject, check out my interview with Tulsa that I did on my backup channel. You know, I have my podcast, Talk to Me. Shout out to Tulsa. That was dope that, you know, she was so open and honest about a lot. Like, it was very eye-opening just hearing her backstory and just getting her thought process on a few different topics. I really did like it. So thank you guys for checking it out. For those of you who have already watched it, it's a good watch. So make sure you guys check that out. All right. So let me go ahead and pull up this thing with Don Lemon. And I like Don Lemon's show. Do you guys like watching Don Lemon? Yeah, I like Don Lemon. He's dope. Okay. 42-minute mark. Okay. Here we go. Do 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 do. What's up, Johnny? I see you. Okay, here we go. So the 42-minute mark, this is where it kind of starts where they talk about Tyler Perry. Now, I want to say this. I agree with their sentiment because I do feel like, and I've told you guys this before, I feel like if Tyler Perry just comes out and say what it is, it would go ahead and dead a lot of this. I feel like a lot of these men are using this to extort Tyler Perry for money. I still stand on that. Now, am I excusing Tyler Perry's behavior and the things that he has done? No, I am not excusing that at all. However, those are allegations for the time being. If it comes out proven that Tyler Perry is this big freak creep, I will definitely come out and apologize to the victims. But for right now, I think a lot of these people are using this to extort Tyler Perry because they know he don't want his secret out, even though the closet is made of glass. But here we go.
Regardless of what the law ends up saying, this could end up being a win for him because this could end up being the freedom that he's never had to live his truth, whether he wants to or not. If it's his truth, we don't know that it's his truth, but based on what's going to come out, he's going to have to be deposed. They're gonna pull and subpoena text messages from his own and all types of stuff. So I could see Tyler very much going to his grave, if in fact he is gay, going to his grave, never ever admitting it. But this may be the case that liberates him.
Let me tell you.
You know, that's crazy thinking about that. Like, oh, damn. I'm going to say it. Luther Vandross, right? Luther Vandross went his whole life without us knowing anything. Now, people speculated, but we never seen him with a man or anything like that, right? But Luther Vandross, just imagine, would he have been happier if he did live his life the way he wanted to and wasn't hiding anything, you know?
Preach on it, because as I was getting dressed this morning, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, how am I going to do this story? I don't want to do it, but it's in the news. This is hot topics. And really, I know people are going to say, well, you don't have to do it. Well, this is what we do. This could end up being very freeing for Tyler. Take the shackles off. Tyler,
Take them off.
Take them off. If you're gay, come on, just say it. It's a public love. People love you. If you say whatever, if you made a mistake and whatever, just say it. And people will not, because it wasn't like you did do our thing. And you could end up helping more people, especially more young men, Black boys, yes, then you even realize that going through this behavior, going through things like this, and even, look, maybe none of it is true. I'm just saying, if even part of it is, just do it.
I don't think Tyler Perry, if Tyler Perry was to come out publicly, I don't think that changes anything for anybody, because it's not like it wouldn't be a shocker. So it would just kind of be like, oh, okay, all right. And then we just move on with life. I don't think this would help so many different Black men, and maybe him telling a story about why he never wanted to come out and stuff, like maybe that would be a story to tell. But yeah, I don't think it changes anything. I think more or less a couple of things. One, I think Tyler should, so all of this shit with the bullshit and the lawsuits can stop. And then two, I think for his sake, just so that he doesn't have to keep on with this bullshit and keep going through everything that he's going through, I think that would more likely, it would help him.
I got you. I don't know if that doesn't mean anything.
Yes,
but
we got you. I don't know yet. I got you too. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And not that we're going to excuse the other, whatever it is, but the truth will make you free. That's what I'm feeling here.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the sentiment too, that it sounds like that could be the sentiment his lawyers were insinuating, that this was some form of perhaps an extortion or so forth, because they know how private of a matter this is. Mm-hmm. And likely said, hey, we won't come out, we won't be public if you pay up this amount of money. Otherwise, we're going to tell the world who you really are.
Because they're trying to shame him, right?
That's important, because before anybody files a lawsuit, they always, well, typically, you send a demand letter basically saying like, hey, if you don't do this, then I'm going public. Now, what Derek was probably asking for, if they filed a lawsuit for $260 million, they probably asked in that demand letter for an astronomical amount. And Tyler Perry said, F that, you're going to have to see me in court. I believe if Derek would have came out with something reasonable, like say maybe like $1 million or $2 million, I think we would have never known about this. Whoa, I just thought about that right now, y'all. If Derek Dixon probably would have came to him with something, reasonable, do we think that he still would have filed a lawsuit? That's something to think about. Y'all, this just literally hit me right now. I don't think we would even be hearing about this if Derek Dixon just asked for $1 to $2 million. Him asking for $260 million, and even if it comes out true that Tyler Perry was sexually harassing this man, that is a lot of money. Like, you want him to give away like a quarter of his fortune just because this situation. And again, it feels like there's more to it, but I want Tyler Perry to release his text messages. I want him to release his text messages, because I bet you if Tyler Perry releases his text messages, this case would go away. I feel like Tyler probably doesn't want to release his side of the text messages showing that it was a mutual, because then it would admit to him being gay.
And they think he's gonna, you know, whatever. And if he just comes out and does it and he says, I'm not shamed, and
He wins.
whatever, he wins.
Mm-hmm.
He wins. He wins. I'm just saying. So yeah. As some other things, let me see. I just want to make sure that I have gotten through everything. Simone, I love that you're here.
Thank you for having me. Y'all, I'm in the airport.
Shout out to
Tyler
Tyler Perry fans. Bama Girl said, this better not mess up my shows. What's your favorite Tyler Perry show, Bama Girl?
That's why my little signals wonky.
Oh my God. I do live shows and stuff in the airport all the time. Are you in one of those little booths?
Yes.
In the lounge. Okay. Can we talk about, I want to talk about.
That was basically it right there. But I wanted to play that clip for you guys because it had me thinking for a minute. Like, if Tyler Perry, if he just comes out with his truth and he just deads all of this, then nobody will have anything over him and he can live his life like he want to. But then there's the other side of this. I think Tyler Perry is still worried about his fan base, but I feel like his fan base wouldn't care. I feel like people talk shit about Tyler Perry anyway, just because of who he is and him being a celebrity. I don't feel like if he comes out and says, like, I'm gay, it would change anything. I think more people be like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. And here's the thing. People who wouldn't accept you, do you want them to support you? Y'all know what I mean? If there's somebody who doesn't support your lifestyle or the way you get down, do you really want them being your support system? Do you really want them around you? Do you want them supporting you? Like, you're just willing to take money from anybody just because? Like, you shouldn't. Right, go say it, child. They know. I told you, the closet with glass doors. Like, just be you, be who you are. But there's a, should I say this? I'm going to say it because if I ask y'all if I should say it, y'all going to say no. So, oh, those are your shows right there? Okay. You know, I like Beauty in Black. I liked it. I really like Beauty in Black. The other ones, I haven't really given them a chance. But Beauty in Black, that nasty, raunchy, listen, I don't want to get off topic, but this is what I'll say. There's a YouTuber on here who's open about their sexuality, right? But when they started getting like a new audience from like the Diddy crowd and stuff like that, they more or less try to portray themselves as a straight man because they didn't want people to know his sexuality or anything like that. So he tried to put on this masculine persona. And it's all like, you a queen. Everybody know how you get down. Everybody know who you are. Like, why are you being like, but he even felt like, okay, I have to keep up this like masculine straight persona because I don't want to lose my new fan base that I got. But like, this YouTuber plays music and stuff like that during their live streams, and the way they be dancing, I'm all like, oh no, they know you a big queen. Because he be like this, y'all. It's not like the little, you know, like a little big. So I'm like, oh shit, my see, that's what I get for talking shit because my internet just went out. You know, it's not like he doing a little big head bounce or something like that. He'd be like, and doing all this when he dancing and shit. You're like, what am I watching? Like, this YouTuber does that when he dances and stuff like that. And so I'm all like, no, they know you a queen. Like, you ain't gotta pretend like you not. And I'm not gonna tell you who it is. Y'all, if you know, you know. But I'm all like, no, they know who you are. Like, you ain't fooling nobody. But even him, as somebody who is in the community, feels like they can't be themselves because they got this new audience from the Diddy trial, and so they have to pretend to be straight. Like, then maybe it's not okay for that person to come out, you know, or Tyler Perry to come out. No, that person I was talking about, they already out. Listen, y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say a name because that's gonna get that person so excited. I'm not gonna say the name. I think Lorinda knows who I'm talking about. But they be and doing all that while what are you doing? Ew, gross, disgusting. Ew. I'm glad I don't have a ratchet platform like that. Maybe I do, but anyway, I'm doing all that. Let's go ahead and pull up this interview that the Hollywood Reporter did with Derek Dixon, the accuser. Here we go, you guys. Let me make it big. I thought I made it big. Oh, not my. I think it's my internet. What's up, Lexi? How you doing? Okay. Oh, this got a whole bunch of ads and stuff. That's probably why it's acting slow like that. Okay, so it says Tyler Perry accuser Derek Dixon speaks. I couldn't stay silent anymore. In his first interview, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, next. Okay, actor Derek Dixon says the process of bringing his recent bombshell lawsuit for sexual harassment and assault against Atlanta entertainment mogul Tyler Perry has been terrifying. But in his first interview since filing the $260 million claim against Perry in Los Angeles Superior Court on June 13th, he says he felt compelled to speak out because I couldn't just let him get away with this. Interesting. He said, everyone deserves to go to work and do their job without their boss trying to have sex with them, Dixon says. My goal is to help ensure that the next generation of actors and creatives don't have to choose between their dreams and their dignity. What's interesting about this, and I think we don't talk about this enough, even though Derek is claiming like Tyler Perry tried to do X, Y, and Z to him, and that he felt scared for his job and his place, but he got a raise when other people didn't get a raise. He was on there all for 5 seasons, or at least from 2020 to 2025. He was on the show, like he was working. Like Tyler Perry never said, "Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that." Like for one thing, when it came to Cassie and Diddy, right? Diddy wasn't putting out any of her music. He literally controlled her like a sex slave. With Derek, he was working. Now, let's be clear. Am I saying that's okay just because he got money and he got a job that makes it okay? No, I'm not saying that. But as far as like, you know, he was worried about his placement and control. When did you ever refuse? Because we didn't see you refuse as far as like telling like, because these text messages that they were having, like at no point did he ever say, "Oh, don't text me," or it seemed like he was trying to sway him or anything like that. It seemed like they were just having conversations. Now, were the conversations appropriate for a boss and an employee? No, it was not appropriate. But, you know, if y'all cool and friends, like, you know, with your friends, like, do you hold back on what you say? No, not at all. All right, let's continue. Didn't Nona say him and Tyler Perry are very good? No. Now I know that's a lie. I hope he didn't tell that lie. We ain't seen him in no movies. Sandra, you're trying to start messing because you know he didn't say that. I know he didn't get on here and tell that lie. All right, anyway, let's continue. Shout out to Sandra. Dixon, an actor in his late 30s who appeared in 85 episodes. See what I mean? 85 episodes of Perry's BET series, The Oval, that aired between 2021 and 2025, alleges in the lawsuit that Perry made several unwanted sexual advances towards him, including one in which the producer pinned him against the wall and groped him, and another in which Perry snuck into his bed. Dixon has accused Perry of engaging in a pattern of exploiting male actors in his productions and using his power in the entertainment industry to harass employees. In a statement, Matthew Boyd, a lawyer for the 55-year-old mogul, called Dixon an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam. Tyler will not be shaken down, and we are confident these fabricated claims of harassment will fail. See, you guys, this kind of goes into what I was saying. I feel like Tyler Perry should release his text messages, and this would dead a lot of this bullshit after he releases his text messages. Beautiful said, hello, AT2 and AT-tubers. This matter is so twisted, the water becomes muddy. The employer-employee roles aren't clear. Ding, 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 ding. And happy 6 months, by the way, beautiful. Thank you for being a member. Okay. Continue. Dixon, who answered the Hollywood Reporter's question by email, describes first meeting Perry in Atlanta in September of 2019 when he was working as an event coordinator for a company, Legendary Events, that was organizing the opening party for Tyler Perry Studios. At the time, Dixon, who was sporadically acting and writing in theater in Atlanta, says he knew Perry only as the creator of the Medea movies. Dixon says that Perry singled him out in the crowd of the event staff and asked him to get on stage so he could check the lighting, and then asked Dixon if he was an actor. I said yes, but not really right now. Dixon says, and he said, oh wait, hold on. Dixon says, and no, I lost my place. Sorry. Ooh, my bad. Dixon says, Dixon says, and he said, yes, you are, I can tell. Oh, that's why I got confused, y'all. Okay. And he said, yes, you are, I can tell. At the end of the event, Perry and Dixon exchanged numbers, and Perry began texting Dixon the next day asking, so who are you? What's the dream? What do you want to do? Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I got confused which line I was reading. You know I didn't finish college, even though I think you learned how to read in elementary, but oh well. Perry offered Dixon the opportunity to audition for a part of a character named Dell in his series Ruthless, a spinoff of the White House set drama The Oval, created under Perry's overall deal with Viacom and CBS. Perry ultimately cast Dixon in a part, telling him it was a small role that could get a lot bigger. At that point, Dixon, who is an out gay man, see, this is the first time that we're hearing that Dixon is actually out. Remember, in the lawsuit, it does not mention Dixon's sexuality at all, which I found interesting. That's why I'm all like, this could have been a consensual relationship. That more or less is what I think. It was a consensual relationship. And he's trying to use this whole notion about Tyler Perry's sexuality against him. My assumption. We don't know. Okay. Who is an out gay man, did not know Perry was interested in men or that he was looking for a sexual relationship. Dixon's complaint says about a year after this, in December of 2020, Perry would announce on Instagram that he and his longtime girlfriend, Jalila Beckley, with whom he shares a now 10-year-old son, had broken up. I'm not going to speak for him on how he identifies sexually, says Dixon. Regardless of his sexual orientation or gender, he should not be speaking to any of his employees, whether they be men or women, gay, straight, or bisexual, about their sexual preferences, how often they're having sex, and physically assaulting them. Dixon grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina, and decided he wanted to be an actor after appearing in his first play in his freshman year of high school. He studied acting at Marymount Manhattan College and the T. Schreiber Studio in New York, performed in plays in Atlanta, and won a Georgia Playwriting Award. Prior to working at events company, he mostly made his living as a waiter or bartender while trying to build his acting career. In January of 2020, as Dixon outlines in his complaint, Perry invited him to his home in Douglasville County, Georgia. Both men drank alcohol, and Perry told Dixon he was too inebriated to drive home and should stay in the guest house. After Dixon went to bed in the guest house, he says, Perry climbed into bed with me and began grabbing my thigh. I immediately jumped out of the bed and said, I'm not that sexual, and stood up until he left the room. I thought that my reaction made it clear that night that I was not interested. After that encounter, Perry called or texted Dixon every day. Dixon says, and Dixon ignored him. Derek, why don't you text me more? Reads one text, include in Dixon's complaint. After a few days, Perry texts saying he wanted to expand Dixon's small role of Dale on Ruthless to be reoccurring character on the Oval. It was the kind of career opportunity Dixon had been waiting for. Dixon read that his character would be shot 4 times in the chest at the end of the season and assumed he would be killed off. When he asked Perry about the storyline on a phone call, Dixon claims he said that if I did a good job, I'd probably survive. On this same call, Dixon says Perry also told him that nobody gives him anything. He gives and nobody ever gives back. Dixon said, I remember feeling my stomach drop when he said this. I knew that I couldn't piss him off or my character could easily just stay dead. Okay, this is what I get from that. Let me say this. We know that Tyler Perry gives a lot to people. He's very giving. Even earlier in that video with Don Lemon was saying like he'll tell a story about a struggling family or something like that needs a car or needs a place to live. And Tyler Perry would call Don Lemon after the show and be like, hey, can I get this person's information or their address? And he would hook them up with cars or whatever they needed, whatever donations they needed. Tyler Perry would hook them up with it. So Tyler Perry is very giving. And just like I said, with him in Hollywood, shout out area. You know I gotta shout out the Bay, of course. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for being a member. But Tyler Perry is very giving. That's one thing that I'll always say about Tyler Perry, no matter what you want to call him, he is a giving person, you know. All right, let's go back to the thing. And shout out to everybody coming in the room. I see OG Patrice. I see Ronnie. All right. So it says, after he delivered the good news about Dale, Perry calls and texts increase exponentially. Dixon alleges in the lawsuit. It was always personal and almost never about business. Dixon says. He would say, send pics of what I was doing or ask to see a photo shoot that I just did. If Dixon didn't answer immediately, he says Perry would get annoyed. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, production on the Oval was delayed, and Perry encouraged Dixon to use the time to write a comedy pilot. Dixon did and shared the script. Here's the thing. If they're working together on a potential project, yeah, you would talk to that person frequently. You know what I mean? You would talk to that person if you're trying to come up with a business proposal or pitch a new show or something like that. You would talk to them regularly. Now, inappropriate talking, no, that's not okay, but you would talk to them regularly. Okay, continue. He called me and told me that it was hilarious and he loved it and wanted to shoot the pilot for it. Dixon says, I couldn't believe he actually liked it, much less wanted to shoot the pilot for it. It was one of the best things to ever happen to me at the time. The details and the dates of when this pilot was going to happen stayed murky, but Dixon was thrilled and grateful. He thought that Perry understood after their guest house encounter that there was not going to be a sexual relationship between the two of them. There were times when I was around him and nothing would happen, Dixon says. So I thought he got the picture, and that created a false sense of security. Dixon believes that his excitement about his career and the fear of Perry's power led him to ignore certain warning signs. I now realize I let my gratefulness for what he done for me cloud my self-respect, Dixon says. Dixon says because he had never worked in a corporate environment, he didn't fully clock the professional inappropriateness of the text messages Perry began to send. Now, I believe Dixon is like in his mid 30s, if I'm correct. Dixon is in his like mid 30s. You're telling me that you didn't know how it was working in corporate? Hold on. Let me look up his age real quick, y'all. Hold on. Now you're going to call me a Tyler Perry apologist. How old is Dixon? Hold on. Let me show you real quick, y'all. What is his age? You ain't going to play in our face and say, because I thought he was grown. Okay, it's going to make me pull up an article. I don't want to do that. Just tell me real quick. Hold on. Why won't these people just tell me his age? I know it says it in the lawsuit, but I'm not trying to bring that all up. Okay, I don't see it here, but I thought he was at least in his 30s or something, right? The start says late 30s. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, it did. Thank you, Lip Drip. Yeah. Now, come on now. This was in 2020, so this fool was still in his 30s. Like, he know what's inappropriate and what's not inappropriate. Don't play in our face. Dixon, do not play in our face. Perry included in Dixon's entertainment commenting on Dixon's thick body. Remember, asking, why do you twist your hips when you walk? And noting that Dixon liked being choked. After shooting, damn, Shannon Sharp right there. After shooting a choking scene on the show. In one text, Perry told Dixon he needed to let someone hold you and make love to you. And we did see that text message in the lawsuit, by the way. One day on set, sorry, I had to take a drink. Dixon says Perry asked him to come to his trailer for a drink. I knew I had to. Dixon says we all were living at Tyler Perry Studios, working for Tyler Perry, who was the producer, writer, and director. And I understood that you do what Tyler Perry says and you go where he demands. I felt like if you were invited and you cared at all about your career and staying on the show, you couldn't say no. Perry had his assistant bring the margaritas in the trailer. Dixon says he claims in his complaint that Perry began asking uncomfortable questions, including whether Dixon was attracted to him. Dixon tells The Hollywood Reporter he continued to deflect Perry's interest, telling him that he wasn't that sexual, that he wasn't looking for anything. That to me is weird. If somebody is coming up to you or trying to press on you, right? You go like, I'm not that sexual. Wouldn't you just say like, I'm not interested, or hey, I don't want anything, you know, all I came to do was dance, you know, like Monica did in the Players Club. All I came to do was dance. Like, you would just say that. The whole I'm not sexual or I'm not that sexual, that's weird to say it like that. And again, I'm not calling him a liar. I'm just giving you my opinion. That's why y'all here, for my opinion, right? Okay, where did I leave off when he said that's sexual, that he wasn't looking for anything? When he left, they hugged and Perry pushed him against the wall and grabbed his buttocks, Dixon says. After he would do things like that, he would say things like, we need to just be business. We need to just be professional. And I would think, great, yes, every time I thought it would stop. The text continued, however, with Perry often sending messages while drunk and seeming to get angry when Dixon didn't answer. Derek, he said in one text that appears in the complaint, don't you dare ignore me. I deserve better. I deserve attention all the time. What is it going to take for you to have gutless sex? Reads another text. Have you found that yet in therapy? Dixon says he started having insomnia and stomach issues, and his doctor prescribed him Zoloft, an antidepressant. See, when he was talking about the gutless sex and have you talked about it and have you found that yet in therapy, I'm thinking like Dixon might have shared some stuff, some personal stuff with him, and Tyler Perry was trying to talk him through it, you know? My assumption, I don't know. Don't be mad. All right, continue. After weeks of unreciprocated sexual innuendos, Perry lashed out at Dixon on set. The complaint alleges asking if he needed to punch Dixon in the stomach for Dixon to deliver the performance he wanted. In June of 2021, according to Dixon's complaint, Perry invited Dixon to his house to discuss Dixon's pilot losing it. I was worried, but I knew I had to go. Dixon says, I thought if he tried anything again, I could handle it and de-escalate it like I usually did. Instead, Dixon says he and Perry got drunk and Perry told Dixon to sleep in the guest house again. He told me to give him a goodnight hug, as I did. He abruptly and forcibly pulled down my underwear and groped my bare ass. Dixon says of one of the most damning allegations in his lawsuit. When I tried to pull my underwear back up, he grabbed my wrists to keep me from putting them back on. I couldn't believe what was happening. Tyler Perry, your freaky ass. Ugh. Disgusting. Dixon believed that he was about to be raped. I told him, no, stop. I don't want this. Dixon says, detailing the incident described in the lawsuit. But he wasn't stopping. He just told me to relax and let it happen and that he wasn't going to hurt me. Perry's estate, which has a guard and a gate, is located in the middle of nowhere, Dixon says. And Uber cannot drive to the guest house. To defuse the situation, Dixon says he told Perry he couldn't do anything sexual because he was hungry, which sent Perry off to get a pizza. They ate the pizza back in the living room. Then Dixon returned to the guest house, locked himself in the bathroom, and fell asleep on the floor. In the following days, Dixon says he contacted a lawyer, not the one representing him now, Jonathan Delshad, but another who told him he need to quit the Oval if he was going to file a complaint. All those years of trying to be an actor would just go up in smoke. Dixon said, this is not a normal job. You can't just go out and easily get another series regular role on a TV show. So it seemed like he put his career in front of trying to get resolve or trying to fight this. He definitely should have. Let me continue reading before I give you all my thoughts, y'all. Dixon told a coworker what happened, and they reminded him that he'd be given up if he complained. Dixon felt paralyzed. I was too afraid to come forward. He says, I knew it would be awful, and I was right. I wonder if he could subpoena that friend that he told. That way he would have a witness, right? Over the next several months, Dixon says he avoided Perry, declining an invitation for a yacht trip. Someone from Perry's production company reached out and said they wanted to shoot the pilot soon. Perry's attorney called and told Dixon he was getting a raise, but not to tell his other castmates because he was the only one. Dixon decided to stay quiet, hoping the pilot would be successful. He could find work elsewhere in the entertainment industry. Perry shot Dixon's pilot in March of 2022. What Dixon didn't know at the time, he alleged in the complaint, was Perry's contract with Viacom prohibiting him from shopping the show for 2 years. Perry declined to comment on the deal. I believe he was trying to dangle my dreams in front of me for as long as he could to prevent me from talking, Dixon says. In January of 2023, after finishing another season of The Oval, Dixon moved to Santa Monica, hoping to put physical distance between himself and Perry and waiting for Perry to sell the pilot. In December of 2023, Christian Keys, another actor who worked for Perry prior to Dixon's employment, went on Instagram Live detailing his abusive experience with an anonymous Black Hollywood billionaire which Dixon believes to be a reference to Perry. Key's manager was not returned our request. See, the manager did not return the request because, yeah, Christian Keys got paid off. But anyway, in June of 2024, Dixon filed a sexual harassment complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and quit his job working on the last season of The Oval, for which he was under contract to make close to $400,000. The EEOC complaint is currently pending. I was an employee and he was my boss, Dixon says, of what motivated him to file the complaint. The fact that I'm an actor doesn't make me any less of an employee. For a long time, I convinced myself that it was part of the industry or that somehow I had to accept it to keep working. But eventually, I couldn't stay silent anymore. In the weeks since his lawsuit became public, Dixon says he has received a mix of responses, from online threats and harassment to messages of support and stories of other people who say they had similar experiences with Perry. This is why people, especially men, don't come forward, Dixon says, of harassment. Asked if he attempted to reach a private settlement with Perry prior to filing his lawsuit last month, Dixon said there was always attempts to resolve situations like this privately, but they never result in the type of change necessary to protect further victims. At the end of the day, my absolute fear is that he will be able to continue doing this without any major consequences. So that's interesting. Okay, I think that's the end of the article. That's very interesting. So it seems like, okay, Tyler Perry might have reached out to him for some kind of settlement, like, hey, if we can sweep this under the rug, let's go ahead and do this. But Dixon and his lawyer was probably all like, nah, we need more money than that. You know, we need a lot more money. Now, it's interesting that he said that he had a lawyer before, and the lawyer told him that he would have to quit, but he was all like, no, I can't just quit. Technically, you don't have to quit your job to sue them. Now, I know for if you sue your job, because I know a few people who have sued their job while working for them, like you don't get the full settlement. Like they'll give you partial and then they'll give you the whole thing after you quit or get fired or whatnot. Usually you don't get fired. But yeah, you don't get the whole thing. But you can't put a 1 in the chat. You can sue your job if you still work for them, right? Now, I think what the lawyer was probably telling him, like, yo, if it's that bad and what's going on, like, you need to quit because it doesn't look good if you're still, you know, he's interacting with that man. They have a show together that he's trying to, like, I think it was too much. It was too much conflict in it, like where he was still, because, I mean, we read the text messages. They were still keeping communication. So it was like very weird, you know, for him to try to sue if y'all still talking and y'all still cool, you know what I mean? Hold on, y'all. There is a fly in here, and I think I see it. Actually, I know I see it. Hold on. Shoot. Dang it, did it go away? Oh, shoot. Dang. It flew away. Don't you hate that shit? It's gonna bother me if it flies around and I can't effing find it. It's gonna make me mad. All right. Anyway, sorry about that. But with this situation, I feel like there's a lot more to it. We only really touching the surface. I feel like it's going to get wild once Tyler Perry releases his text messages and show us the truth. Will this be a RICO? With the Braxton situation, I mean, if they are doing cover-ups and basically they're flying men out into, well, I guess it would have to be called prostitution, though, if that's the case. But, you know, if they're flying men out, what's up, Addicted? If they're flying men out and all that stuff for the solicitation of sex and I don't know. Tyler. And then especially because these men work for him. Ugh. I feel like this is only the beginning. That's what I would say. We thought Christian Keys was the beginning. No, this is the beginning right here because Christian Keys ain't said shit. No, this is the beginning right here. We're going to find out a lot more. I'm telling you. Whew. Tyler, be careful. It's giving trafficking. Yeah. Yeah. Listen. All I can say is I'm happy that it's not me. That's the only thing I can say. But please let me know what you guys think in the chat, in the comment section. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I appreciate y'all for being here, but we getting on out of here.